Campbelltown Local Court on 15 July 2026. Shortly after 1:30 in the morning on Sunday the 3rd of May 2026, the emergency services number 000 received a call from inside a house on Juliet Close in Rosemeadow, a quiet suburb in Sydney's southwest. The caller was a 30-year-old man. He was injured. He was calling because 3 members of his family were not able to call for themselves. Officers from the Campbelltown City Police Area Command arrived at the property to find what Superintendent Grant Healy would later describe as a very grisly crime scene, a very bloody scene. He said the police and ambulance officers who attended did a fantastic job in very trying circumstances. 3 people were dead or dying inside that house and its granny flat. All 5 people involved were members of the same family. They had lived together at that address, a family home in a peaceful cul-de-sac that runs off Romeo Crescent, a short walk from the local primary school and the shopping centre. A 32-year-old man left the scene before police arrived. He returned approximately an hour later in a silver Subaru sedan. He was taken to hospital for forensic and mental health checks. That night, he was charged with 3 counts of murder and 1 count of attempted murder, all classified as domestic violence offences. This is what the evidence, as reported and as alleged, tells us happened in that house. This is also a story that is not yet finished in any legal sense. The case is before the courts. The trial has not occurred. Every allegation presented in this documentary remains exactly that, an allegation, pending the outcome of proceedings that are scheduled to continue on the 15th of July 2026. With that understood, this is what is known. Rosemeadow is a suburb in the Campbelltown local government area, approximately 50 kilometres southwest of the Sydney CBD. It is a residential community, predominantly houses, with a primary school and local shopping nearby. Juliet Close is a cul-de-sac, the kind of street where neighbours can see each other's driveways, where children are known by name, and where the ordinary rhythms of daily life are visible. The Feng family had made their home there. According to reporting by Southwest Voice and App, the household comprised 5 people, a couple, and their 3 adult sons. The mother was Ruvina Lam, 65 years old. The father was Charles Feng, 64. Their youngest son was Justin Feng, 25 years old, who lived in a granny flat at the rear of the property. A 4th family member, a 30-year-old brother, also lived at the address. He survived the events of the 3rd of May. He has not been publicly named. The eldest son living at the property was Jacky Amazing Feng, 32 years old. He is the man who has been charged. Neighbours, when speaking to media in the days after the incident, described the family as people who kept largely to themselves. One neighbour noted that they recalled ambulance visits to the property in the past year, a detail that has not been further confirmed or explained in any official reporting at the time of this documentary. Police stated clearly at the time of the arrest that the family was not well known to police, and that there had been no prior reports of domestic violence-related incidents at the address. That statement matters. It is the same statement made in cases across this country and around the world that the family was not previously known for this kind of violence, that there was no way to predict this. It is a statement that should not be accepted without examination, but it is also, in this case, a statement that accurately reflects the documented record as it stands today. There is no known prior history of police contact for domestic violence at this address. The motive is not established. The precise sequence of events inside the house has not been publicly confirmed in detail beyond what police described at the scene. What is confirmed is who lived there, and who did not survive the night of the 2nd of May 2026. The precise timing of events inside the Juliet Close home in the hours before the 000 call has not been publicly established. What is known begins when that call was made. At approximately 1:30 in the morning on Sunday the 3rd of May, the 30-year-old brother called emergency services. He was injured. He was the only person inside that house in a position to make that call. Officers from the Campbelltown City Police Area Command arrived at the property and found what Superintendent Healy described as a very bloody scene, with signs of both blunt force trauma and edged weapon injuries. They found Ruvina Lam outside the main house. She had been given first aid at the scene. She did not survive. Inside the main house, officers found Charles Feng, 64, still alive but with serious blunt force head injuries. He was taken by ambulance to Liverpool Hospital in a critical condition. He died from his injuries at the hospital. When officers searched further through the property, they found Justin Feng, 25 years old, the youngest of the three brothers present that night, deceased in the granny flat at the rear of the address. The 30-year-old brother, injured, was also taken to Liverpool Hospital. He was treated and subsequently released. Superintendent Healy stated that police believed more than one type of weapon had been used. He said, "We think there's a bladed weapon involved, as well as some type of weapon that can create a blunt force injury." A hammer was mentioned as one possible instrument. The weapons themselves had not been recovered at the time of initial reporting, and investigators issued a public appeal for anyone who had seen a silver sedan in the Rosemeadow area during the early hours of Sunday morning to come forward. The accused, Jacky Amazing Feng, was not at the property when police arrived. He returned to Juliet Close at approximately 2:30 in the morning. He was driving a silver Subaru SUV. He was taken by police to hospital for forensic and mental health assessment. Then, he was taken to Campbelltown Police Station. That same night, Sunday the 3rd of May, he was charged with 3 counts of murder, classified as domestic violence offences, and 1 count of attempted murder, also classified as domestic violence. He was refused bail. He appeared before Campbelltown Local Court the following day, Monday the 4th of May. He did not apply for bail. He was photographed in handcuffs, and later filmed leaving the court in the back of a police van wearing a forensic suit. The case was adjourned to the 15th of July, 2026. This case is in its earliest legal stages. A trial has not been held. A verdict has not been entered. Jacky Amazing Feng has pleaded to nothing and has been convicted of nothing. That is the legal reality, and this documentary does not present it any other way. But there are things that can be examined, precisely from what has been confirmed, because examining them honestly is the point of this channel. The first is the question of invisibility. Superintendent Grant Healy said, the morning after the events on Juliet Close, there was no way for us to predict this type of thing was going to occur. That sentence has been said before, it will be said again. And in many cases it is accurate, not a cover, not an evasion, but a genuine statement of the limits of what systems can see when a family's internal life is completely private, when no agency has ever been called, when no document exists that connects the people inside a house to the kind of danger that has now resulted in 3 deaths. The Feng family on Juliet Close fits that description, as far as the available reporting can determine. There was no prior police record for domestic violence at this address. The family was not known to police in that context. Which brings us to the second thing that can be examined, the question of what not known to police actually means. When families are described as not previously known for domestic violence, that description captures a specific and limited category of information: formal police contact, documented incidents, filed reports. It does not capture what neighbours observed. It does not capture what a family experienced privately. It does not capture the ambulance visits that one neighbour recalled to media, visits that have not been explained in any official reporting. Ambulance attendances are not the same as police reports. They do not automatically generate domestic violence flags in the same systems. A welfare call, a medical episode, a mental health response, these are recorded in different databases by different agencies, and in most Australian jurisdictions the cross-referencing of those datasets is not automatic. The protocols for identifying risk through non-police contact have improved in recent years. They have not been perfected. None of this is to suggest that any agency failed in this case. The investigation is ongoing. The motive has not been established. The full sequence of events is not yet public. Sources who spoke to reporters in the days after the incident suggested possible drug involvement, a detail that police explicitly did not confirm, and which this documentary does not assert as fact. A family friend of Jacky Feng, Jonathan DeLangen, spoke outside court after the bail hearing. He said he was shell-shocked when he heard what had happened. He said of the accused, "I think he's going through mental things. He's a very troubled person." Those words describe a perception, held by someone who knew him, that something was wrong. Whether that perception was ever communicated to anyone with the capacity to act on it, a doctor, a mental health service, a community organisation, is not known from current reporting. What is known is that 3 people are dead, 1 man is recovering from injuries, and another man, their brother, is before the courts charged with killing them. Rosemeadow has not seen anything like this before. The suburb is quiet. Juliet Close is residential and peaceful. The primary school at the end of the road had students walking past the crime scene tape on Monday morning. The community is in shock. That shock is the ordinary and appropriate response of people who did not know, who perhaps could not have known, what was building inside one house on their quiet street. The question that will be examined as this case proceeds through the courts is what exactly happened inside that house, and why. That question is not answerable today. What is answerable today is the narrower question of what systems are built to see, and what they are not. In cases where there is no prior police contact, no documented history, no formal record, the first indication that something is catastrophically wrong is often the call that comes after the worst has already happened. That is not a failure of any individual. It is a structural gap in how risk is identified, tracked, and acted upon. In 2026, New South Wales has some of the most advanced domestic violence legislative frameworks in the country. Coercive control became a criminal offence in NSW on the 1st of July 2024. But legislation is only as effective as the reach of the systems that apply it. When no report exists, when no agency has been contacted, when no flag has been raised, no law yet written can act on information it does not have. The family on Juliet Close had apparently kept their troubles entirely within that house. On the morning of the 3rd of May, the house could not contain them any longer. Ruvina Lam was 65 years old. Charles Feng was 64. Justin Feng was 25. Their names were released by reporting outlets in the days after the 3rd of May. Beyond their ages, their relationship to one another, and the fact of their deaths, almost nothing has been made public about who they were as people. That absence of information is not unusual in a case this recent and this early in its legal trajectory, but it means that this documentary, unlike the ones that came before it in this series, cannot tell you who Ruvina Lam was before that night, cannot tell you what Charles Feng built over 64 years, cannot tell you what Justin Feng's 25 years had contained, cannot describe the 30-year-old brother's last ordinary conversation with the people he has now lost. That information may emerge over time as reporting deepens and as legal proceedings bring more of the record into public view. It has not emerged yet. What has emerged is the shape of what happened, the address, the timing, the charges, the weapons, the sequence of emergency response, the refusal of bail, the court date in July. The machinery of the legal system has engaged. What has not yet engaged is the full accounting of motive, of history, of what the days and weeks and months before the 3rd of May looked like inside that house. This documentary will not speculate about any of it, but we will return to this case. When the proceedings advance, when more of the record becomes public, when the story of what happened on Juliet Close can be told with the same precision and depth as the cases that came before it in this series. For now, 3 names: Ruvina Lam, Charles Feng, Justin Feng. They lived in a quiet house on a quiet street, in a suburb of southwest Sydney where the primary school is a short walk away and the neighbours mostly keep to themselves. They deserved more than what happened to them on the morning of the 3rd of May 2026. Their case returns to court on the 15th of July. If you or someone you know needs support, the resources are in the description below. We'll see you in the next video.